The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
We're back with my in-studio guest, Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr. Of course, we're talking about healthcare here and Medicaid in particular. So again, prior to going to break, we're talking about the offset costs for the employee versus the employer, and what kind of feedback are we getting from both, actually?
Sure. Of course, for the employers, as I said, we've been working on this for a very long time. We've engaged the Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association. We engaged SHRM, Society of Human Resource Group. We've talked to the chamber, to several members of the chamber, and this is something that is an ongoing. We got to go out there and present this. And a lot, for the most part, the bigger companies already provide health insurance, right? And so if you already provide that, this is something that won't affect you. It's for those who don't provide it, and also we're looking at addressing the smaller individuals, smaller businesses, right? Because clearly there is going to be an impact for them. But here we are talking about raising the minimum wage, what impact that's going to do for them. I'm hoping that we can get this really at the forefront and being able to discuss it, because for me, it's important to provide the benefits, the benefit of health insurance, for that employee. Because when you talk about the rising healthcare costs in our community, one of the reasons why these costs are skyrocketing is because there's a huge population that can't afford, that don't pay their bills, but someone pays for it. That someone is you and I. That someone is the businesses that already provide insurance for their employees. Someone, there's nothing free in this world, so someone pays for it. So
and we'll talk about that in the next episode. Right. With that, but with this as well, and as you said, the bigger companies that already have this in place are not necessarily having to worry about this. It's the smaller companies. Right. Again, we're having minimum wage is being discussed at this point. There are a couple bills. Something's going to happen one way or another. Whether we discriminate and who gets what, or we give them one full blow and all that. Something's going to happen. So the smaller companies, as we encourage people to be entrepreneurs, these are things that they may have not put in their business plan.
Sure.
And if you say maybe their potential employees may be underinsured or maybe not insured, the question is maybe these entrepreneurs are underinsured or not insured as well.
That's right.
Because the cost. So again, in regards to doing business, it's becoming very expensive to do so if you're not already established in a bigger company. So that's a deterrent for a smaller entrepreneur. You think?
That's right. Yeah. And it could be. But what we're trying to do is being able to provide the information and explaining it, right? Is that if you look at your financials now and you don't factor that in, and you say, okay, I'm gonna be able to live with this, the financials that I have now, it's the unseen. You are paying. You are paying for someone who goes to our hospital, and they need to treat them, and they can't pay. Someone is paying, and it's that business person, it's that individual, it's a taxpayer that's paying for that. So what we're hoping to be able to do is shift that money that you're already paying for, the unseen sometimes, shift it to the front end where it's accounted for. You know that you're paying for a benefit for your employee. You know that your employee now will be able to go to a doctor when they have a common cold or flu. So that it doesn't turn into pneumonia or something worse, where they end up in the hospital and they have to be treated, and who pays for it, right? Someone pays for it. So it's a challenge. It's a big challenge that we have, in getting this move forward. But it's something that needs to be done.
Now, how again, in moving forward this, we have the challenge, and we just got to look at the mainland United States as to what's happening there in regards to Obamacare, where you have insurance companies that are opting out. Okay, there's a move here in the legislature. I think in particular the speaker. I don't know if that's still a situation he's looking at. He's wanting exclusivity to come down to one company in insurance. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. But when you do that, there's been argument before not to monopolize, and so Governor Eddie Calvo said, hey, look, although it's more expensive, people want a choice out there. We already have one company that's in the, from all indications are that well, my assessment, probably not as financially sound as they used to be. Okay, and so that being said, if you go down to one exclusive, and then that opts out, what happens?
That's right. No, it's a tough. It's something tough that we have to deal with, right? When we several years ago, I was in the legislature. I think maybe my first term when Speaker Ben Pangilinan, the late Speaker Ben, introduced that measure that said we're not going to go exclusive. We're going to give the employees and their families the opportunity to choose. And I supported that wholeheartedly. But there was a price to pay.
Sure,
There's a price to pay. Sure. So we see that happening now. It's millions of dollars, more that we have to pay.
And going in, we knew that.
Yes,
we knew going
absolutely.
In, there's a price. We didn't go in there flat-footed.
Absolutely. And so, but then that's a decision we made.
Sure,
we said we're going to give the employees that opportunity. Same thing with this. It's a decision we have to make. Whether we're going to continue to fund healthcare the way we're funding it now, funding it where you don't see it, you don't see it up front in your financials, but then in the long run, you actually are paying for that uninsured individual, right?
Sure.
Is that, do we do it where we can operate more efficiently, pay it, shift it in the front end, you know it, you can account for it, and at the same time, you create a healthier community.
And here's the thing, Senator, with this, again, it's that. Now, I think people don't really have a big argument regarding that. We know the need for healthcare. We may be very healthy today, but we can't speak for 2 o'clock this afternoon or tomorrow morning.
That's right.
Okay? We don't know that. We know what is needed, and we know that just one visit to the hospital can wipe an individual's savings out and all that. We know all that. I think that people's argument with this, the whole pushback with this is that, the bottom line is it all comes back to us, and as you said, we have to make the decision. We have to make these decisions. But at some point, we as bosses, we say, as the voters, we say, okay, while doing that, government, can you look at yourselves too and trim your operations?
Sure.
And look at that, because you're saying we have to deal with this, but we also see that we have a government that is continuing to operate when times were very good, when we had more money.
That's right.
And when I say we don't have, we're just contracting. We're contracting. So as I'm telling you, my economy, is contracting. So is the government. And so if I'm having to deal with this, government, you have to do the same thing. Why me alone? I'm your boss, and I'm telling you guys. So, we don't have such a problem. But if government is operating as status quo, and I'm now having to eat and bite this thing by myself as an individual taxpayers, and the government can do what they want and all this. I mean, we just read about the legislatures again. I don't know how much percentage it went up, not you personally, but all that. So again, when we look at that and we're saying, we're looking at our own economies, okay?
What is the government doing?
That's right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And thank you for that, because this proposal here actually addresses that. The combination of sources to pay for this new expansion group to get more people insured is that the employer, the business company would have a contributing amount. The employee, if they decide to, must also share. I think it's not to exceed 2% of their annual income. The government of Guam is going to be required to provide assistance as well. And the way we're getting this, I think this is where the controversial part is the source of funding for the government of Guam share is a 4% assessment fee on health insurance premiums. And you're right, we are operating in a way where we think it's good times. Just like 20 years ago when the government thought we were in good times and decided to provide this deep, generous benefits to the insurance companies, where we said we're gonna, they were paying GRTs, they were paying income taxes then, but for some reason we said we're going to give you a break. We're going to give you a qualifying certificate, and now you pay zero. And so it's time to kind of kind of pull that back in. We can't cancel their qualifying certificate program. All we're asking them is please help now. Now that 20 years have passed, you have received the benefits. Come back and help us help our people.
Senator, I got to take a quick break again. And unfortunately, we don't have much time to discuss it anymore. We're going to have to probably say goodbye in the next block. But next week, I'm going to discuss this even more in detail, not only the Medicaid, but also MIP.
Yes.
Okay, because they're kind of one and the same.
Yeah, kind of.